Hey, new labor unions is starting to pop up everywhere, y'all. Let's talk about it.
This place got a new face, killing Joe's face. Got a Joe thing, chilling in a new fade. Blue space in a new place, what did he say? He done tic-tac, feeling like a true play. Step back and I never say no. I was winning over there, now I'm running out of flow. Got a feeling in the air, but I'm feeling kinda low. Got a ceiling over here, and I think it's gonna blow. Hey, this place got a new face, killing Joe's face.
Yo, yo, yo. It's time for another show. I'm Aquarian OG, and you should get to know me. Why? Because we be just chilling. That's why this spaceship is called the SS Chillington. Because we chilling. Alright, y'all. It's been a couple days, but we got some things going on outside. It's been nice outside. The weather done changed. We got leaves and flowers and stuff. Birds. I've been hanging out. I've been enjoying outside. But, yeah. Outside has been a couple things going on. Like labor fights. It's been really interesting if you ain't been paying attention. There's been a lot of companies that have been anti-labor, labor unions that have been getting labor unions popping up inside of them. You know, like Amazon. What was the last one I heard was Google. There was another big one too. But yeah, so, you know, we got our peoples over at Second Thought. What? Yet another great video. We're going to check it out. I ain't going to keep y'all too long. So, I know the last couple of videos, I've been forgetting to ask y'all, what you watching? I ain't forget that this time. But, I don't want to keep y'all too much with a really long intro. We're going to have some talking points, I imagine, because this is about labor unions. And is this a movement? So this is from Second Thought. Is this the beginning of a new labor movement? It need to be. If you haven't liked or subscribed or commented or whatever you want to do on the video, I would appreciate if you did. Subscribe to the channel most of all. Maybe drop a comment or something. And that will improve us being seen and stuff. Y'all know what the game is. I ain't gotta explain it to you. You know how this works. Alright. As soon as I get to the right daggone button. Bing, bing, and let's go.
There is a shortage of skilled tradespeople throughout the U.S. economy.
The Department of Labor reported only 266,000 jobs were added in April, and the unemployment rate for the last month ticked up to 6.1%.
12 states have cut unemployment aid about 3 months before federal benefits expire in September.
At the very moment that unemployment is rising, fewer people are working, American businesses say they can't find employees. And it's obvious they can't. Go to the nearest strip mall and count the help wanted signs on the...
Number one, look at that shelf. You know what's trippy? Is they talk about how all these jobs, these billions and billions of jobs and all these openings and stuff. But yet there's people who want jobs and can't find them. Where are these jobs? Is it because people who are in private business are able to have employees? Do they count that as a job? I don't know what these figures are going on, but a lot of the jobs that's out there is straight trash.
The doors, they're everywhere.
If you've turned on the news within the last couple months, you've probably seen all sorts of dramatic coverage and special panels on the supposed labor shortage that has cropped up in the wake of the pandemic. Thanks to the COVID relief...
Now hiring $11 an hour. You live on $11 an hour.
Checks, tiny and inadequate as they were, for the first time in decades, many Americans found themselves with the tiniest bit of bargaining power against their boss. Suddenly, they could afford to stay home from their low-wage jobs, at least for a little while, and many took the opportunity to do so and look for better employment. This led to a wave of posters and signs outside places like McDonald's saying that no one wants to work anymore. As if it were some kind of moral failing that people were choosing not to slave away over a griddle 10 hours a day for poverty wages. But...
Dude, that used to be me. Over that grill. In the saute station. Maybe in the broil station. All getting burnt. There's a little... And they're talking about the highest that we can pay you is $11. $13. Yeah. You do this for $13. That's why you hiring me for $13. Man, the only person that's going to pay you your worth is you, so you might as well make you a company. Find out what you do best and get you going in that direction of turning that into monetary.
But this new bit of tension between workers and employers is just the tip of the iceberg. In this episode, we're going to explore the possibility that the United States is witnessing the birth of a new labor movement.
You sure
Okay,
are.
time for a pop quiz.
Sure is.
I'm going to give you a quote, and you try to guess who said it. Here it is. Labor is prior to and independent of capital. Capital is only the fruit of labor, and could never have existed if labor had not first existed. Labor
Slaves.
is the superior of capital, and deserves much the higher consideration. Who do you think made this assessment of labor and capital? If you've seen my other videos, you might assume this is a quote by Karl Marx, but you'd be wrong. This quote is actually by none
that
other
was
than President
Lincoln.
Abraham Lincoln.
I was
from
gonna
his
say that, too.
1861 State of the
I was like,
Union
that sounds like
address.
some Lincoln stuff
Lincoln
right
was a
there.
contemporary of Marx, and there is some evidence to
I was
suggest
thinking
that
that. I
the two
should
may
have
have
said
even
it.
corresponded at some
Damn.
point. But regardless, the
See, that is a perfect example of closed mouth don't get fed. Because y'all have no idea that I was thinking Lincoln. I'm like, damn, that sounds like some Lincoln shit right there. But I never said it. Son of a...
fact that a president of the United States, a place we today consider the bastion of free market capitalism,
Damn.
would make a statement so
I had that
supportive
answer,
of labor
too.
over
Damn.
capital is probably shocking to many of you. Believe it or not, the United States did
shoulda
not
said
always
it.
have the exploitative, soul-crushing labor landscape we see today. There was a time, many years ago now, when workers had actual bargaining power, where
Yeah.
they could come together and say to their boss, hey, we've got some demands, and the
Yeah.
boss would have to work with them.
Some
Today,
unions.
that kind of relationship is nearly unthinkable. The barest hint of unionization in the workplace is often grounds for termination. Benefits our grandparents took for granted have been stripped away. Pensions, vacation time, paid sick days, maternity leave, a company car, a fair wage, all relics of a
Damn.
bygone era, consumed by
Company
the
car.
all-devouring ideology of cost-cutting and
Where they do that
maximizing
anymore.
profit. Of course, executives never feel the sting of these measures. In fact, their compensation has only continued to grow, to the point where wealth inequality is now just as bad as its peak during the Gilded Age. These days, many workers never even meet their boss. They're not even considered employees. The gig economy has drastically changed the way we look at work.
Yeah,
And
it
as
has.
of the latest available data, 36% of American workers have turned to gig work to make ends meet. Combine the lack of livable wages, increasing rates of depression, lower life expectancy, and rock-bottom job satisfaction rates with a global pandemic, and you've got the perfect storm for a renaissance of class consciousness and labor activity.
Yeah, you
While
do.
it may not seem like much to the untrained eye, over the past year, we have
Yes.
seen workers taking the very first steps towards fighting for better conditions. One of the most important developments has been the resurgence of the labor strike in various industries as a tool for forcing change. For example, in 2020, during the pandemic, we saw strikes among nurses, teachers, flight attendants, and auto workers, to name just a few. In each of these instances, the workers, typically unionized ones, formulated demands that would provide them with better safety measures and wage protection for the duration of the pandemic. Nurses' unions picketed for adequate PPE and better staffing to handle the massive influx of coronavirus patients.
Did they win that? I was keeping track of that for a little while. I forgot all about that was going on. Did they win that? I have to check that out. I don't even know what the outcome of this was. I want to say they won. Because they showed stopped talking about it. Or I stopped hearing it. Or my algorithm in my YouTube changed. I don't know. I'm not sure, but I'm going to check this one out.
Teachers demanded that schools remained closed until reasonable safety precautions could be implemented to protect themselves and their students from contracting the disease and taking it home to their families. Auto workers forced the shutdown of plants over social distancing concerns.
Yeah, they did. They was like, okay, you know what? Here's what's going to happen. I remember hearing about that, too.
Flight attendants negotiated for paycheck protection to be a part of the industry bailout, ensuring their economic security through the turbulent pandemic. In a time when millions of Americans were being laid off from work, many from
Oh, I heard Disney was starting to getting some union, there was union talk going around Disney, too. There's union talk going around these gig works. I caught wind of that. I was like, oh, snap. For real? Us, too? Us as in the gig workers? Like DoorDash, Instacart, all them other ones, the eats, the different eats. Seems like there's a new eats every time I turn around.
Jobs that would not survive the pandemic, union workers enjoyed a certain level of protection thanks to their bargaining power. And as such, they were laid off at a lower rate and often with job or paycheck guarantees. This hasn't gone unnoticed.
And
after decades of decline in union membership thanks to vicious union-busting campaigns and expansion of corporate power, in 2020, membership began to tick up again. 2019 marked an all-time low for union membership, with an abysmal 10.3% of workers being represented by a union.
Wow.
In the wake of the pandemic, that number has climbed just a bit to 10.8%. While this may not seem significant, it represents the sharpest increase in 40 years. And the fact that it's increasing at all after 4 decades of steep decline is very promising. This increase in membership...
If that's one place that need to unionize, is McDonald's. Holy shit. Man, like Amazon and McDonald's. Dude. Yo. Them fast food places. I worked at Burger King for like 3 weeks. No. Them places need to unionize too. Holy shice.
Corresponds with polling that indicates a majority of Americans see the decline of unions as a bad thing for workers. And it coincides with the proliferation of labor voices on social media. But we'll get to that in a minute. One important union action that's currently ongoing, as of writing the script at least, is the impressive strike by Alabama miners who, along with miners from several other states, traveled all the way to New York City as a group to protest their unfair treatment outside the BlackRock headquarters. BlackRock is the primary shareholder of Warrior Met Coal, which operates out of Brookwood, Alabama. Warrior Met miners have been on strike for over 4 months now, demanding a fair contract after saving the company from bankruptcy. Back in 2016, when Warrior Met was in danger of going under, miners accepted a $6 per hour pay cut to keep it afloat. Since that time, the company has extracted record profits from their operation, netting $309 million in 2019, while the CEO continues to pocket his $4 million salary.
Dude, that's
All
crazy.
of this is on the backs of the people who actually do the incredibly hazardous, backbreaking, unenviable work down in the mines.
That's one job I would never do. Like every 10 years, I changed careers like completely. Like my first 10 years, I was a mechanic. 10 years after that, went right into medical. Next thing I did, cooking. Became a chef. I couldn't be no coal miner. Hell no. I couldn't be no coal miner. Y'all good for that one.
Of course, this well-deserved strike has garnered very little mainstream media attention. One thing that's very important to note is that class consciousness and solidarity, the practice of standing with your fellow workers, does not necessarily follow a cut-and-dry political divide. I'm sure there are plenty of fancy business people in New York looking down on the miners as a bunch of rednecks, not only their class enemy, but opposed to their preferred political team as well. While it may be true that many of these Alabama miners espouse right-wing politics in general, if you listen to their own words about the strike, you'll notice there's nothing even the most centrist Republican would support. The United Mine Workers Association president said, "We're in New York City because we're simply following the money and demanding that those who created that wealth, the miners, get their fair share of it." Right. While Abraham Lincoln would certainly have agreed with that sentiment, modern...
Every time I see this dude's face, come on, sliding Biden, what's wrong with you, dude? You need to just call it a day and just let somebody else have the chair. Because your ass is too old to keep track of what the hell you doing. You're going to get us all fucked up. Just seeing you oh, goddamn, go away. Like, come on, man. Stay off my screen. And I ain't even gonna say I ain't got nothing against you because you just did some wrong shit to people that trusted in you. Just fuck you. Bye. Sliding Biden. Now you don't even remember half the bad shit you did. You still talk about, what is this stupid stuff he talking about? Blaming the gas prices on Russia. the Ukraine war is the reason that your gas prices is that. No, price gouging is the reason that our gas prices is high. Get the fuck out of here. Y'all think we stupid. Anyway, I'm off topic.
Politicians are opposed to it in every way. Both Democrats and Republicans have fought tooth and
And this
nail
dude
to
right here. This old scoundrel right here. Everything I want to say about Mitch is illegal. Fuck him.
fought tooth and nail to destroy unions and make sure workers
It just
don't have
feel
any
like it,
bargaining
you know?
power in order to keep
like,
their
nah,
corporate
can't say
donors
that.
happy
It's
and
probably
cutting them
against
nice
TOS.
campaign checks. The only group in America
No,
that
can't say
supports
that.
the striking
That's been
workers in
censored.
just about any instance, regardless of industry, is the socialists. What many people have historically seen as a left-right divide is understood by socialists as a capital labor divide.
Funny he brought up socialists, because that was the next video. We got socialists coming up for the next video. I'll rewind that for a little bit. I like to hear about this socialist talk. I've been looking into that more and more. It's really got my interest. I don't think there was it was one of the past videos that somebody was talking about socialism and capitalism. I think it was the capitalist video. Somebody in the comments said no one system can completely do it. You need to have a combination that works for whatever type of culture that's in that area, and you need to have a combination of whatever system, you know, socialist with capitalism, you know, however way you can get that to work. It sounds good on paper. But yeah, that thought right there, I agree with that. I agree. So whoever made that comment, I agree. You need more than one system that can work with each other and the culture of whatever civilization you are. You know, like American culture is different than Japanese culture, you know, things like that. You know, they could work side by side because Americans and Japanese are mixed, you know, and made it work together. But, you know what I'm saying.
Any instance, regardless of industry, is the socialists. What many people have historically seen as a left-right divide is understood by socialists as a capital labor divide. The working class of the US is made up of people from all political backgrounds, and their class interests are the same, regardless of those political beliefs. It's no coincidence that membership in socialist groups like the DSA has been increasing in tandem with union membership. Flowery words from politicians don't mean much to striking workers, but actual material support from other workers does, and the socialists are always the first to lend a hand.
Number one, does anybody have any idea?
Flowery words from
Hold on one
politicians don't
second.
mean much to striking workers, but actual
Does anybody have any idea what this person does? What kind of uniform is that? I'm guessing he's over in England or something like that, because one, everybody behind him looks English. And I mean that because I don't see any sportswear. You know, like a team something. We have a high tendency of wearing a lot of team shit. I'm not wearing team something, but I do have a logo on. It's mine. But, you know, you get the gist. We always got some kind of something team on. And his hat. His hat actually makes him look more, the most English. Other than that collar being weird as hell. What is he like? I see some 5 o'clock shadows, so I'm going to say he. Is he some kind of attendant or something like that? Anyway, back to the show.
material support from other workers does, and the socialists are always the first to lend a hand, specifically because of their understanding of class struggle. The DSA is the largest organized socialist group in the US, currently sitting just shy of 100,000 dues-paying members. And since the pandemic, that number has jumped from 66,000 to its current 92,000.
Ooh.
That is a massive increase in a very short period of time.
I wonder what it is now.
It just goes to show that when all politicians have to offer is empty promises and
Do I even have to say a whole lot?
an increasingly miserable capitalist status quo, building an economic alternative starts to sound pretty appealing. It's no wonder that polling continues to show a decline in favorability for capitalism and an increase for socialism. Politicians and the ultra-wealthy seem to be doing their very best to turn the rest of us against them. For example, Amazon has been at the center of worker rights discourse for a while now, and in...
Yo, check this out. One of the tactics that Amazon is using that I caught on the news, not the news, but I read my little Google News feed every once in a while. These moves, they going back to the tactics that they used. What was it? He said the 50s or something like that, 60s or something. Anyway, one of them way back machine times. That they're posting how the union, the labor union, the UA or UAL or something like that. You know, freaking nose is itching. I'm gonna take my allergy pill today. Anyway, they're posting on the vending machines flyers of how the union is bad for you, yada yada yada. Since they're like limited on how bad they can come down on a union, they hire people. Man, the tactics that they is going through trying to fight these unions is crazy and kind of archaic, if you know what I mean. Like y'all trying new ways of doing old stuff. Like, what is this? Anyway,
Instead of laying low, Jeff Bezos decides to go on a little joyride to space, while his workers literally die on the job. Public perception has turned decidedly against the ultra-wealthy, and for good reason.
This dude in his stupid-ass cowboy hat. I can't stand where he be walking. You are not a cowboy. A horse would whoop your ass. This dude in this stupid cowboy hat just...
The only way they're able to amass their vast fortunes is through
Look at that. It looked like it's too big for... Something's wrong. It don't fit right. Like, I don't give a damn how much money you look. You cannot make... If it don't look right on you, it don't look right on you.
Exploitation of their workers. And the problem continues to get worse. Right now, there's still very little awareness of the nature of class struggle, the battle between capital and labor, among the American people. Those in power understand it. That's why unions have been all but destroyed since the Reagan years. The accumulation of ever greater profits requires greater and greater extraction from the laboring masses.
Yeah, you hear that again? Reagan years. Everything started on Reagan. Like, what the hell? This dude, they brought this Hollywood actor to bring in and be president. They tried that experiment again with Trump, but that didn't go so well. Who else was, I thought Jesse Ventura was going to make his way to presidency at one point. All these actors making it up there. Yeah. Shit, I almost ended up working at Amazon my damn self. I'm glad I dodged that bullet. Somebody told me how it was there. I was like, scoot!
Without a banner to organize behind, the American working class lacks the cohesion it needs to make effective changes on a national scale.
Man,
in the
ain't that
past,
true.
it was socialist labor leaders like Eugene Debs who offered a path forward. And thanks to the bold actions of workers back then, we have many things we take for granted today. Child labor laws, the weekend, the 8-hour workday and 40-hour workweek, workplace...
Ooh-wee. He said the weekend. What's a weekend?
safety laws, and so much more. All of these were socialist initiatives supported by millions of hardworking Americans with an understanding of class struggle. The most critical thing we can do right now is work towards rebuilding that lost class consciousness. It will be a challenge, but we have more tools at our disposal than ever before. Social media has proven an effective tool for raising awareness and coordinating labor actions. And as the younger generations who grew up with the internet become more politically active, we'll likely see social media play an even larger role in organizing and agitating for positive change. The DSA isn't perfect, but it is a good first step for getting involved and learning how to organize within your community. See if there's a local chapter, or if there's not, reach out to the national branch and start one yourself. If you've done the reading,
Bernie.
if you have a good understanding of the mechanics of class struggle, talk to your friends about it. Each one teach one, as the expression goes. Every little bit helps, and we need all the help we can get. A new labor movement, one that can really force concessions from the ruling class, would drastically improve the lives of average Americans. It could afford us financial security. It could give us time to spend with our friends and loved ones.
Man.
And maybe, if we're lucky, it could even make America the country it claims to be. A country that works for everyone, not just those with money and power. If you enjoyed this video and you
Man. Oh, there's another one too. Yeah, these labor unions need to, yeah, I like this growth thing, and I'm seeing with them, because one of my best jobs that I had was with it, what had a union on it. Man, I mean, they charge you a little bit here and there, but it's worth it. I think unions is better than insurance in some cases, because these corporations and these billionaires and man, and corny ass Jeff Bezos running around in this little stupid ass cowboy hat, looking like a rejected Woody from Toy Story. This is crazy. Anyway, let's go unions. Let's build that up. If you haven't liked and subbed to the video or the channel, please do so. And I appreciate you. Hey, thank y'all to those that have done so already. I'm enjoying the growth of the channel. Let's keep this headed going in the right direction. And hell yeah, I'm a Korean OG. And I am OUT. Deuces on the flips. I got to deal.